Diane lifted her face toward the summer sun, closed her eyes, and breathed in the warm, salty air of the ocean breeze. She held her breath while listening to the orchestra of seabirds, crashing waves, and laughing children. This was what had carried her through the uncomfortable fall, the cold winter, and busy spring of her new life as the Countess of Avery. This was the payoff of managing new households, attending every party on the Earl's arm, and sitting across from the man who was still little more than a stranger to her. This, the sea, open country, freedom. She pushed her bonnet from her head, letting it hang down her back. Now that London society was not watching how she would perform her role as Countess, it did not matter that her fair cheeks had become a bit browner or her brown hair had become a bit fairer. 3 weeks in the country, and she felt like Diane again. "Mamma!" Diane blinked her eyes open, remembering in an instant that she was watching the children. She turned her head quickly to count wind-blown heads. 1, 2, 3. And exhaled the panic that came so easily to a mother. She put her hand on her rounded belly and fixed her eyes on Benjamin, the child who had called to her, and hurried in his direction while confirming that Alston and Tabby were a safe distance from the water. Some days they played in the surf or swam in a cove some distance farther down the beach. Today they were simply exploring. There were few things that did not excite 9-year-old Benjamin, and upon reaching him, she gathered her skirts up to her knees so that they would not drag in the sand, and crouched beside the tide pool, oohing and eyeing over the tiny crab he had found. "It is trapped," he said, holding a stick but not poking his discovery, though she was certain he was tempted. "Should I put it back in the sea?" "No, it's safest right here until the tide comes in." "Can I take it home?" "No, my darling. It would not be happy in a people house." He frowned, puckering his eyebrows as he looked back at the crab he could not keep. "Shall we show the others?" she asked, hoping that the thrill of sharing his discovery would overshadow his disappointment. When Alston and Tabby joined them, Tabby stretched her arms towards Diane, who lifted the child onto her knee and held her around the waist while pointing to the crab. The little girl shrieked, part fear and part delight, as she pressed into Diane's shoulder. Tabby's mother, the former Countess of Avery, had died when Tabby was born. Trying to make up for the little girl's loss had been the easiest part of the marriage for Diane. Tabby had proved as eager to be loved as Diane had been to love her. The boys had been excited to have a new sister, and Tabby had quickly fallen into place with them too. Diane brushed Tabby's wild curls behind the girl's ear and thought of Tabby's father, Michael Richard Sterling, the Earl of Avery, Diane's husband.